guys for joining us for our second quarterly Black Business Town Hall. It's a conversation discussing Black businesses. Today, we're going to cover where we are now, where we're going, and focus on hope and resilience and collective action in Tucson. We've already had a great chat. We logged in a little bit early, and I cannot wait for you guys to kind of jump into it with us. I want to revisit a couple things from our last Black Business Town Hall. One, we all came together. I think I've met people outside, but now I know everyone. And now we have Kendall, who's on here as well. So I'm so glad to have him. And I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Desiree.
All right. Hello, kings and queens. My name is Desiree Cook, and I am the founder and CEO of a local nonprofit called I Am You 360.
Thank you for being here, Desiree.
Thank you.
And we're going to jump to Debbie. Debbie, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Debbie Chess. I'm the executive director of the Dunbar Pavilion.
Thank you for being here today. Sam Brown, it's your turn.
Hello, I'm Sam Brown, father, husband, man of God, community member, attorney. I work for Tucson Unified School District, and a member of the Dunbar Board and the Urban League Board, among other things. Thanks for having me.
Sam has like a dozen businesses that
Yes,
he doesn't talk about, but Sam is a business owner.
And a business owner.
Kendall, introduce yourself.
Kendall Foster, born and raised, father of two, love my city, involved with El Rio Healthcare, Dunbar, U of A Cancer Research, and just want to see this city thrive. So I'm happy to be on this call and this panel with amazing folks.
Thank you, Kendall. Kendall is in the shop today, so we're gonna hear some background noise and all the things, but he is here for us. I first want to open up with, we had a lot of people make pledges last Black Business Town Hall. And out of that, the Urban League kind of grew, our little committee grew. It's a lot of us that were on the Black Business Town Hall last time, now on the Urban League committees. And as well as CIC made a huge pledge that they were going to do something to make sure that they could help Black businesses in Tucson. So I spoke with them today, and I want to share what they have coming up. They have a Black, Indigenous, People of Color community managed loan fund. It is managed by community members. We are a small committee. I'm on the committee with a couple other people. And what they're doing is they're putting money into a fund to help Black businesses that need it. And it's managed by a committee of people. So we make all the decisions, as well as they have raised money. And so TEP gave money, as well as Cox. And then all of their members that work for CIC, their employees, also donated to this fund. So they are sitting at $45,000 towards their goal of $50,000. And they hope to raise that by the end of the year. They are rolling this out in, we're going to say Q1 of next year. It could be January, February, but they're going to roll it out in Q1 of next year. And they're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. The next step is really to establish the full committee and the loan process, because we all have to learn more about it. And then the public launch, as of right now, is in Q1. So for more information about that, make sure you guys reach out to CIC. The committee will be reaching out to people throughout to see who needs help. And if you need help, make sure you send us an email, either with CIC or at Startup Tucson, and we will make sure to put you in touch with people who can help you. So are you guys ready to jump in this conversation?
Yes, yes.
All right, let's do it. So a recent study showed that 76% of people were negatively impacted with their business during COVID. 95% said they did not receive PPP protection loans. 80% say they faced challenges and had to close their business. 60% said they're experiencing some form of racism or bias when starting a business. And then 50% said that the government stood in their way when it came to opening their business. So I did all my research to make sure those were facts. It came from a Groupon survey, as well as the NAACP group. And so I want to hear about one, your businesses and what you've been facing in the last 8 months, because what are we, 8 months into COVID? And how has it impacted you guys, both in community as well as in business? So whoever wants to jump in. Who wants to jump in? Miss Desiree, you want to go first?
Yes. So I feel, we're kind of on two different positions when it came to COVID. We were down for a while when, COVID first hit. But I felt like that was an opportunity to kind of revisit how we could be innovative and relevant, to help families, especially vulnerable youth and families, help fight the invisible enemy. And then once we heard that the CDC was mentioning personal hygiene, definitely will help the washing of the hands, but then also when you're coming in, showering, how we can step up and help families. So that gave us the ability to open a little bit further in our services and start a delivery program, and then curbside pickup. But also we realized that we needed extra funding so that we could add mask and hand sanitizer as well as hand soap to the bags. We felt like that was definitely essential. And so when funding was so low, it was like, how are we going to do this and stay true to who we are? So be honest with you, that was a struggle to really get the community on board to support that effort. It really took us to another level. So it kind of benefited us, to be honest with you, because our numbers did increase, but the funding did not match the community need during this time.
Debbie?
Yeah, it's interesting because we receive a lot of our revenue through events. And so when folks were unable to do their events, our revenue, of course, went down, which makes it really difficult to pay staff and to, keep the facility up and that type of thing. But what I feel is really what a opportunity that's emerging out of COVID, and people being on these online spaces, is hopefully these online spaces that are cultivating Black community right now will find an in-person space at the Dunbar once we're done with this, that we can move these spaces of connectivity online that have grown. I know Sam was doing spoke through online, and Hush will reopen, and other folks are, being Black in Tucson and Black Tucson Meet Yourself. And so all of these Black spaces that are being cultivated, hopefully we'll see that kind of manifest, there'll be an opportunity that they'll feel comfortable in moving those spaces just for one event or two events over to the Dunbar. And so, we are about to undergo a major renovation of the auditorium space that is it'll be 21st century state of the art, in the spring. And so, this this downtime is kind of a little bit of an opportunity for us. As sad as it is for our bottom line, hopefully we'll make it up on the other side.
I love it.
Me too. Hey.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yes, I had a little glitch in my video. Couple things. I mean, I want to follow on the trail of, for us, it's been a chance for growth. Hush Social Club really started with the idea that we would, one of my conditions of joining the team was that we would not be renters forever, and that we would buy, our own spot eventually. And when COVID hit, we really took that opportunity to say, we're going to be closed for a few months anyways. So this really is a great opportunity, to fulfill our dream and buy a building. And so shout out to the team. We were able to get in the contract, get our own space to where we're working towards owning our own location. And y'all know there's not many Black spaces in Tucson. So the new spot is near Alvernon in 29th. It's our own building. It's a big blue building. Y'all will see when you drive by. hopefully opening soon if the world doesn't reclose again. But it was really an opportunity for us to say, you know, we're going to be down anyway, so let's take advantage of that opportunity and make this move, this transition. Um, in you know, some of my other endeavors, COVID hit pretty hard, and revenue, and you know, you write like a 5-year business plan and you expect to have certain revenue and certain things happen is based on assumption, a really big assumption, like the economy is going to just keep going at some point. So it was really rough. In one endeavor, we were able to take advantage of the payroll protection loans, and it made a very huge difference for us as a business, and you know, as far as bills, and then also for our employees. So that really helped. That was one instance that really helped. We were able to secure a micro loan, an SBA micro loan, that was just $2,000 for another endeavor, but it really helped. You know, so you know, I think the government stepped up in some cases. I'm disappointed that those monies haven't reached as many Black and brown owned businesses as I think it should have, and we all think it should have. But you know, it was able to help us, and we were able to, I think, take this opportunity to really grow. I don't think that the growth that I've seen in some of my endeavors would have happened if COVID hadn't happened. You know, it opened up some space for some things that happened that weren't available before. So, you know, blessing and a curse. I feel very blessed and grateful to be on the positive side of it. I know everybody isn't, and I know it's hurt a lot of people. But you know, it teaches us to be stronger and to grow through adversity. And so those good times will be even sweeter. So mine is sort of a you know, blessing and a curse. I've seen both sides of this impact from COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to open it up for Kendall.
Can y'all hear me okay? Or is it the music too loud in the background?
Good.
Okay. Okay. We didn't have the blessing of the government helping us. So we had to kind of make do and really use our talents, our resources, our connections to really pull this shop alive. So we didn't qualify for any loans. We didn't qualify for the PBP, the POP, the PPG, you know me, we didn't get that. So I am happy to hear that some people did that worked. Didn't work for us, but again, we survived through. This is our second year. We just had our 2-year anniversary 3 days ago. So again, we got to get in where you can fit in type of deal sometimes. So.
I do want to add, if I may, that we did get, we got a relatively small amount of funding from the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona through their Somos Unidos fund. And that allowed us to put in filters in the air ventilation system and set up some hand sanitation spots for the Dunbar Barber Academy and the Dance Academy and some of the folks that attend the space. So that really helped us kind of make sure that our space, if you were going to some of the tenants, the activities of some of the tenants that occupy our space, that you're safe and that the space stay clean and sanitary. So shout out to them for providing us an opportunity, a financial opportunity to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to piggyback with you, Deb. In the beginning, it was like, where we're going to get some funding to ensure our families and youth have the items that they need. But then also Arizona Foundation and the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona did step up and really helped us in such a huge way, because we were able to serve families that we had to put on hold because we just didn't have enough. And so they really, really helped us when we needed it the most. So shout out to them as well.
So how do we stay resilient during these times? How do we bounce back? Because COVID's not going anywhere, right? There's a possibility that we may halfway shut down. And then January comes, it's a new year. Normally it's new year, new me, all things. So how do we bounce back?
I think one of the things is that we as people have to make sure that our mental health is good. And you all were joking before about work-life balance. Two of the things that have really helped me because I'm a people person. I like being around people all the time. And so if you're like, that can really take a hit when you're stuck in home all the time. So um, immediately with Zoom, I was like, okay, so we're not at Hush. So we started Hush Social Hour. And so we were doing it every day for every night at first at 10 o'clock. People would just jump on and be 15 to 20 of us. And we would just talk about whatever. And it was just a way to stay connected. And, we slowed it down to 3 days a week. And now it's just like every Sunday night we do it. But it's been a way to keep that community kind of tight knit, even though we can't be around each other. And then off the same idea, I was talking to one of my aunties about the Hush Social Hour. And we were like, we should do that for our family. So like our family all over the country, sometimes it's 8 people, sometimes it's 30 people, but every Sunday at 2 o'clock, we're all connecting, and we're more connected now than we've ever been. Like I'm seeing family members I never see, and I'm seeing them every week and hearing about their lives. So I think we use technology, and I think Debbie hit on this. Like we use technology to stay connected. We're blessed to have technology. And I think one of the challenges is getting people who don't have, our friends and family who don't have access, or who might be a little older and not as comfortable with the technology. We have to do the work to really to bring them along and reduce the fear of the technology so that we can all stay connected. But that's the beginning, because we can't build our businesses and our community if we're not sane ourselves. So staying connected, I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then I also think that a lot of times we become very robotic. We were all stuck in our lifestyles and our schedules. And when COVID hit, that kind of gave us a pause button and an opportunity just to kind of do some reevaluation of self, our business, self-reflection, so that when we finally were able to come out, so to speak, we could come out with in full force, I should say, and be ready for the opportunity, because now we're fresh. We're kind of rested, super rested, but using that opportunity to be as innovative and as powerful as your mind allows you to, and whoever you're connected to ensure that we could rise above it. It doesn't always work that way, but I think that pause button was so necessary, really, for long-term growth, for all our, for a lot of people's businesses.
Yeah, and I think this has really, for Black people, this is nothing new. The ability to be resilient, the ability to adapt, the ability to just do what you need to do to get along. And so, what I really hope, or do what you need to do to be successful and survive. And so, I hope that how we stay resilient is to remind ourselves that we are such creative people, and the things that we've had to do to survive through this, that we're going to take it on the other side and even be more compassionate towards one another, kinder towards one another, and more supportive towards one another. Because this period of isolation, I really hope folks are taking it to kind of evaluate how they can reconnect in really meaningful ways. And so, like I said, on the other side, when we're able to be in face-to-face, and we've been able to celebrate one another's accomplishments over, through this technology. But when we're face-to-face, when we're able to give each other a hug and give each other a high five, that will actually articulate itself in tangible support for one another, whether it's providing space, providing gateways to access to relationships that we've cultivated under this, that other people can share in the love around that. So I think the resiliency of Black people has just been able to, in this environment, of what we've been having to go through in this just shows who we are in a better way. It's just proof positive of that we are resilient people anyway. And so we're going to come out of this on the other side, just reinforced in our strength.
Absolutely. And so many businesses started and were birthed during COVID.
Yeah.
And now giving people the ability to become financially sustainable, keep a roof over their head. So that pause button was serious. And I feel sorry for people that did not take advantage of that pause. And if, God forbid, we have another one, that is the time to really dig deep and discover some gifts that you didn't even know you had, that could help you be financially sustainable. And then also to add to, African American people have been resilient since our existence, right? The beginning of time. And so with anything, we're the ones that can really bounce back from such heaviness that COVID had brought, despite the loss of life and things of that nature. But if anything, COVID helped us to be stronger.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. It makes you wake up. The pause button was great. I don't feel like I took a big pause, but there was a pause. But it also helped me connect with all of you guys. It helped me connect with so many people, but that mental space, making sure that you take care of your mental well-being. And if that's taking a moment to get off of social, taking a minute out of your business, whatever that is, make sure that everybody is checking in with your mental. Sam always says in our meetings, how's your spirit and soul doing? So making sure you're checking in with your spirit and your soul, because if that's not right, you can't go on. Kendall, you want to jump in there?
Sorry, I was trying to be quiet because we got music going on with clients here. Yes, to all that. And I feel like the creativity has gone higher up for us too as well. We've been using technology, social media to do so much more advertising and reach a whole nother demographic that we couldn't touch upon. So, and yes, to Sam's point, your mental state is first. You come first before this business comes. The business will almost run itself, but you gotta, your soul's gotta be right. Your head's gotta be right in it. And the cool part is I actually met Desiree during this pandemic.
Yes, we
I've
do.
known Debbie before this pandemic. I know Sam before the pandemic, and we check in with each other. And that's the first question we always ask each other. Hey, how are you? And how's your soul? Like, how's your heart? So, and I think, again, that's just a testament back to us being resilient and us making sure we get the priorities right and double checking with ourselves and say, hey, is this what we really want to do? Is this really what it's all about? So I love what everybody just said. So yes.
My next question, we all love Tucson. We're here for a reason. But if we could wake up in a new city tomorrow, what would your hope be for what Tucson can become? So if you were to close your eyes and wake up tomorrow, what would you want to see Tucson become?
Be more open-minded to new ideas, new concepts, and kind of, wash away the old mindset, and growing Tucson.
I love that idea of being open-minded, Desiree. I think that if nothing else, that COVID, because we have to have, our experiences are so tech heavy that we've experienced what other communities are doing and what other people are doing outside of Tucson. And I heard it a lot in the 10 years that I've lived here that, we aspire to be, Santa Fe or Austin or all these other places, and I hope that if I woke up tomorrow and Tucson was what I wanted it to be, it would be that Black people are thriving here, and that there is an understanding that there is a Black community here and that people are working really hard to bring it together and celebrate all of the diversity of what it is to be Black in Tucson, and that there is no monolithic way to be Black in Tucson. And so that's what it would look like for me tomorrow, is that there is no confusion about there not being a Black community in Tucson, because there is, and it's strong, and we're working so hard to bring ourselves together.
Kendall?
Yeah, what Debbie said. And also, I'd like to see some more communication. I'd like to see the communication go up in Tucson. I think we all have a great idea. I feel like Tucson's that big little city where there's not too many of us Black people doing the same thing. So I feel like everybody's kind of doing their own pocket. And it's more just a communication of, hey, how can I help? How can I help support? How can I help connect you with somebody else maybe? So just that community, that two-way street of, hey, let's figure out how we can kind of take a little bit further, or maybe reach a sector or a place that maybe you haven't touched on before.
And Sam.
Couple things. I would like, I always say this, but I would like Tucsonans to be proud of their city. You know, I'm a second generation. You know, when I hear, you know, Tucson so sorry and I hate it, my first thought is like, leave, like nobody's keeping you. Tucson is an amazing place. It's had a black man discovered Tucson for Europeans. There were black families in the original Presidio. We've been here the whole time. There were black Buffalo soldiers. So like being black in Tucson isn't like a new thing that happened this decade. You know, my father, my aunties and uncles grew up in Tucson. So we've been here. We're part of the fabric of this city, and we should be proud of that. And we shouldn't run away from that. And we don't need to be LA, and we don't need to be Oakland. Like, we don't need to be Phoenix. We are very, very unique. There is no city on earth like Tucson. There's not. And we should be proud of that. So I would like to see people be proud of their city. And if you're not proud of it and you hate it, like, for your own soul, go somewhere that you like.
Your own heart.
Yeah, don't
Right.
stay here. My second thing really is I would like to see some walls come down. I think there's some artificial barriers. We need to let more young people into our institutions, more LGBTQ folk into our institutions. We need to stop having these divisions of your church folk or your non-church folk, or you're this kind of black person or that kind of. We're too small to have divisions. We're too small to say things like, you know, I don't mess with that person, or I don't associate with that institution because one person in that institution did something I didn't like 6 years ago or whatever. You know, we need to be able to come together on the things that we agree with, and not to say to, you know, not have your principles and not be a principled person, but you need to be able to see the bigger picture. And I would like to see our community really come together. It's very hard for people, I think, like me and Kendall. Like, if you grew up in Sugar Hill, you grew up in a black neighborhood with black business owners around you your whole childhood, and then to see the effects of gentrification, and you see our neighborhoods go away and disappear, and us have to work, as Debbie said, like, work so hard to keep our community together, but you know it's possible because you lived it, you've seen it. It's hard, but it takes work. It's a lot more work than if we lived in Alabama or if we lived in the South. You know, you live in a place like Tucson, you got to work hard for your community to be strong. And we can't be divided, or we're fighting against ourselves. So I would like to see less divisiveness and just more pride in ourselves and our community and our city.
Even though we're 2%, amen. And even though we're 2%, doesn't mean that 2% is weak, and you know, that's a strong 2% or 4%, I'm sorry, 4% of the population. That doesn't mean that's a weak 4%. You know what I mean? That's a pretty strong 4%. I mean, you look at the people that are on this panel, but then also the folks at home that are doing stuff, and Black folks that are doing stuff and working really hard. You know, I often say, you know, oh, it's the numbers are so low, and I need to stop saying that. You know, I'm going to take responsibility for stop saying that right now. That, you know, that just because it's 4% of us, that's not, you know, we're mighty. We're small but mighty, and we're getting stuff done. You
That's
know,
what I was
a lot of amazing work, and just because it's not tweeted, it's not on Facebook every second of the day, it's not on Instagram every second of the day, doesn't mean it's not happening, and that people's efforts aren't, you know, we need to recognize their efforts, even though it's not out there in social media all the time.
And I think we are 4%. When I moved here, we were 2.5%. And
wow,
that was 3 years ago. So we are 4%, but I think we're only as strong as our neighbor. We're only as strong as we can be if we come together. And I think my hope in this waking up of COVID, that we come together. Like we all make mistakes, right? We all have fallouts and all the things, but as a community, if we don't come together, we're not going to be strong.
Right.
And we're not, you know, I always want to touch on that 4% too, man. I remind people that they don't count Black and Hispanic people as Black. They count them as Hispanic. And y'all know somebody who's Black and Hispanic. You know a lot of them. So we're really like 5-6%. But there's a million people in Pima County, right? So
Yeah.
even if it's 4%, we're talking about 40,000 people. Like that's a lot of people. Like San Jose, California has like 30,000 Black people. That's a big city. Sacramento, that's the capital of California. They have like 55, 60,000 Black people. Like 40,000 Black people isn't a low number in America.
Right.
For
Right.
a major city. Like 40,000 is a lot of Black people. So yeah, I want to stop hearing that. You know, there's not enough Black people here. There's enough to do
And
a lot.
I also want to recognize and make sure that we're recognizing our African community, our African immigrant community. You know, when we talk about immigration and all of this, we kind of default to the Latinx community, and we have to realize that there is an African immigrant community that we need to wrap our arms around as well and support as well. And those are our brothers and sisters and well, and how are we creating space for them to thrive and for them to, you know, contribute to our community as well. So I just want to make sure that we haven't overlooked our brothers and sisters just because of our proximity to the border, which is important too. But you know, the African immigrant community is growing here, and I don't know that we have done our due diligence to the level that we need to make sure that we are welcoming and supportive and creating opportunities for that community to be involved and thrive as well.
Absolutely. And I want to say I'm a non-Tucsonian. I am a Tucsonian now. I love Tucson. Tucson has been good to me as far as the heartbeat of it was just right for people that, you know, might have had past stories like myself to kind of heal and restore and, you know, invest in their families and, you know, raise their children. Tucson offers so much culture and a high volume of small local businesses, a high volume of Black owned businesses. So Tucson offers so much if we just kind of give it a chance. So I'm from a big city, Brooklyn, New York, but I love Tucson. You couldn't pay me to move back. Tucson is where it's at for me. I just love all the, you know, the local aspect of it. And so, yeah, I just want to give Tucson a shout out.
Yes, Tucson has great people.
Yes.
That is what made me fall in love with Tucson. Great people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last town hall, we addressed a couple of things regarding invisibility and visibility for Black businesses. Owners expressed that they kind of felt invisible and like all of us didn't know each other. So has any of that changed? Or do you know how we can start to change that or continue the growth of changing that here in the city? We all found out about Sam's auto glass company last time. So, and that was something that how many people need to get their windshield fixed and no one knew. So how is it that we can make sure with Black Friday does a great job on promoting Black businesses and the list and the app and the website and the holiday guide, but how can we as a community also help to promote because they can't do it all by themselves?
Word of mouth is huge. You know, doing Google reviews when you frequent a Black business and you have a good experience, take 2 minutes of your life and give them a good review, you know, on Facebook or on Google. Tell your friends, you know, and you know, people aren't going to like this. We've seen this a lot on social media, but if you have a bad experience, you know, my grandma used to always say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
Right.
It doesn't hurt you not to say nothing, right? You gotta go on social media and blast your brother, your sister's business. You had a bad experience. I mean, do you do that with every business that you have a bad experience? If you do, and that's your personality, okay. But if you like, I feel like some people take the extra opportunity to like blast us where they wouldn't blast other companies and
Yeah,
say, you
I
know,
so agree.
keep it to yourself. You had a bad experience, all right, but now you're hurting our community's pockets, you know. So that's my my thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You all of a sudden become extra nitpicky when it comes to a Black-owned business. You know, starting to look at their business with your eyes a lot wider than you normally would in a non-melanin business. And why is that? That's a question that we need to ask. Why is it that we do that?
Right. And there's something to be said that if you do have a negative experience there, talk to the what is keeping you from just walking up to the person and saying, you know what, I had this really bad experience and I'd like to, it's called being an adult. It's called being responsible. If you've had,
Absolutely.
you know, confront talk to them, talk to that business owner, talk to the head of that organization. If you have beef, if you have an issue, that's how we work it out, face to face. And if you find yourself not getting anywhere that way, then maybe you do need to take it to social media. But I don't think social media needs to be the ombudsman for your issue. If you've had one, there's something to be said with starting with, Desiree, if I have an issue with however IMU 360 or your salon has treated me, I'm going to go to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yelp doesn't need to know yet.
Right. Facebook is not the mediator.
Yeah, Facebook. Look,
it's not the ultimate fixer of your problems. People think Facebook is the ultimate fixer, and it is far from that.
And that's how you build community. That's how you build trust. That's how you build respect, is coming to one another. And that's what's called community. That's what's called family.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
What Debbie said, true. Communication, that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. Hey, be mature enough to communicate exactly what your needs and issues are. Back to Sam's point, I do my best to make sure I shop local everywhere we go. And that's a big, right next door is Cartel Coffee, local. Other way is Goodness, local. My car is being worked on right now by JT Auto, local. So all these businesses, we always try to want to make sure, obviously, keep them local. Now that we got Black Friday, I think that's great. And I think that is a great start for inventory and a list of who we have at our disposal. So, or who we can contribute and spend our dollars with. So I think Black Friday is a start. But like Debbie said, you got to communicate, got to talk it up, let them know what their skills and strengths are too as well.
And it's not that hard to shop local, and it's not that hard to shop. It really is not. It's like going vegan. People are like, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how anyone can do that. Read the label. So much food out there. Get the app. Get the Blacks app. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. It is not that hard to shop local.
It's really not. The vegan part, but the shop local.
The shop local is very easy. We're gonna agree to disagree on the vegan part.
On the vegan, because I definitely, shop
I'll
local.
give you that.
And support.
Right.
So yeah, that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out some of the partners who have really, really been supporting. Hotel Congress does a Wednesday night it's under the Black Friday app, but they do a huge Wednesday night dinner. I think it starts at 7 and it's like 7 to 11 now. And they have all Black businesses on Wednesday night. Hotel McCoy is doing a couple pop-ups. And making sure that we are actually getting out there to support the people that are doing the pop-ups is so important, because they don't know who we are until we show up. And if we're not showing up, they're not going to continue to do this. So making sure we are showing up as a community is probably one of the big things. Shopping local, not just on Black Friday, but every day is so important, even if you have to drive across town, which I do very often. But make sure you guys are showing up so that we can keep our Black businesses alive and not close doors. I want to go to Capital. how can we increase investment and capital in Black businesses? CIC again is off to a great start, but we also have to support them. So how can we make sure that we're supporting Black businesses, Black capital in our community, as well as CIC, to make sure we're getting money into Black businesses? Who wants to jump in there?
Sam.
Oh,
Sam.
Sam, don't get
Sam.
quiet now.
Sam,
Yeah, man. What a question, man. I mean, I think the first thing comes to my mind is just collectivism. You know, there are cultures where, like in the Jewish culture, it's not acceptable to charge each other interest, right? And those kind of concepts, like I'm in a Black male investment group called Bro Capital, where we all put in money, and that pool of money is available to anybody in the group to put a business proposal or an investment proposal to the group, and then borrow from ourselves. So, I mean, I think it starts with collectivism, and not always. And I know it takes time to build. Like we are really the first free Black generation in 400 years in this country.
Wow.
That is, you know, think about 400 years. So we have a lot of work to do to build those kind of institutions and entities that other groups have. But I think first look toward ourselves. Everybody's not going to have, you know, a rich auntie or uncle. Everybody's not going to have a friend, but collectively, we can pool our dollars and we can do some amazing things. And I think, second, we have to teach each other. I think, you know, the Urban League Community Economic Development Committee, with the work the Urban League has been doing with financial literacy over the last decades, we have to pool our talents and knowledge, our funds of knowledge as a community, and do the work of taking those funds and distributing them to everybody so people can improve their credit, so people can improve their financial standing, and can improve their debt to income ratio, so that you are in a better position when you have a business or you have a talent, a vocation, to turn that into a revenue creating stream. So to get capital, you need connections, or you need credit, right? And so we have to be able to, small things like you can think of like Hush Social Club or the Dunbar is like, you know, this is a place I go to for fun, but those social connections turn into capital. Those relationships are things that turn into capital. And you never know who you're having a conversation with, you know, in 2020, that in 2021, that's a person that's investing in your business. So, you know, I think it's connections, and I think it's credit. And it's not always going to Wells Fargo or Bank of America and trying, you know, the traditional route of just, let me go find a business loan. It might be CIC, right? So think outside the box and realize that if your work ethic is there, if your grind and hustle is there, if your ideas are there, and you don't know how to get capital, know enough to reach out to organizations that can help you, like CIC, like the Urban League, that are there to try to help you with solutions to those problems. But it's not easy. Capital's not easy for us.
right.
Right.
And I think it's people have to adjust their expectations around how long it really takes, and what success looks like, right? You know, you may have this idea that I can't start my business unless I get $1 million investment, you know, up front, and I have all of these needs and all of these, you know, learning to manage your expectations, and you know, doing what you can do with what you have, for the time being, and scale up. You know, that's the concept of scaling up. And so, you know, it's not all or nothing. It's either, if you don't get that $500,000 loan or gift, that it's not going to happen. No, you can do a lot with 5,000. You can do a lot with 500. You know, and just keep building that, keep building that, keep building that, and it takes time. And I think people also have to readjust their understanding around debt, and what debt is, and how it can actually work in your favor if you manage it correctly. And that's where, you know, organizations like the Urban League, and there are, you know, what was once the Nonprofit Loan Fund. I can't think of the name of it now. They changed the name of it. I always forget the name of it. But they're there to help people understand debt and debt management, and also trusting your sources of information. You know, if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Yep.
Yeah. I think also on the other side of that is if someone offers you something or offers you an opportunity, normally we just push them away. I know we have our walls up, we have our guards up, we're not going to trust anybody. And letting people in to help you learn how to do these things, because you don't know what you don't know. And you know what you don't know. And most of the time it's, how do I get that financial credit or investment? And you have to do the work, but you have to reach out and really take it in, and maybe let someone help you. Let someone help you. I bootstrapped my business. I think I started with, it was a couple $1,000s. I got laid off. So I had no choice. Like, there was no choice but to succeed. And that was on the brink of 2008. So, and I've been in business for a little over 11 years. And you have to, and I've had no investment and not trying to take money, but there are businesses in our tech community and our brick and mortars who do need investment. So how do we, as a community, make sure that we reach and get to that investment point? And I think that is through education. And there's so many people offering the education. Urban League is doing it. Dunbar is probably doing it. How do we actually show up to get that education?
And I think also willing to be teachable.
Yes.
Open
Yes.
to learn, right? From others that have been doing it. Why not? But, you know, being teachable is huge.
Yes.
Yes. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Being teachable is huge. And I have to kind of clarify with too good to be true. That is,
You're cutting out.
that's coming from once you've educated yourself about that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because sometimes being too good to be true, it is good and it's real. But that's once you have critically examined the opportunity, you know what I mean? Because it's happened time and time again for the Dunbar, where you're like, what? That donation came in, or that opportunity came in, and it was good and it was true. So yeah.
Yes. Kendall, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say for example, the studio, a lot of folks think it popped up overnight or maybe just a couple of years ago, but this is an idea that's been incepted 14 years. And so had to be patient. Be patient.
Yep.
Be hungry. And like I think Debbie touched on this earlier on the call. She said, hey, come together. Y'all come together, get a little bit tighter, really kind of pick each other's brain. I think that's really where we need to kind of move towards, make a shift towards.
A lot of us have been have had the opportunity to sit around tables and sit in rooms where we are privy to information that isn't that hasn't been provided to everybody. So I think that those of us that hold that information have an obligation to share it.
Right. You can't be stingy.
Yeah, we can't be stingy with it. And if there, and I would hope that part of the pledge, I heard you talk about the pledge, Keneshia, that part of that pledge include, because I haven't quite heard it, but part of that pledge include that if you are a leader in this community and you have information and access, and that you are obliged to share it. You are obliged to share it. And, there's scripture, to whom much is given, much is required. And I think we all need to take that to heart and make sure that we are doing our full obligation as leaders and sharing that information within our community. And that
Mhm.
information can be, a relationship. It could be, oh, I heard this thing's about to go down. We want to be a part of it, anything like that. We need to share.
I think that goes back to the communication, making sure we're communicating with each other so we can all succeed. I mean, we have to bring each other up together. I want to talk about, because I want to get to celebrating the wins, because there's a lot to celebrate even through this crazy pandemic. Debbie and Sam recently did a video, and I'm not sure if everyone has seen it. And they talked a bit about assume no harm. And I believe it started with something about the ground rules for meetings. And it's always assume no harm. And that stuck with me. I watched it like 3 times, and then I shared it with a bunch of people. So I want to start with you, Debbie, and then roll to Sam. And then I want the floor to kind of open up the conversation, because it's a big conversation and we don't have like hours to have this conversation. So Debbie, you want to jump in there?
Yeah. So where that comes from is that, that assume no harm, really, it takes advantage. I don't think it recognizes the trauma of marginalized people in that statement. Yes, we need to trust one another, absolutely, but trust has to be earned, and there is there's my daughter giving me my charger. Thank you. There is a piece that, you do have to walk into a situation or walk into relationships knowing that not everybody is out to get you, but you also have to be really careful about where folks are coming from,
Yep.
because there is absolute documentation of where folks have assumed no harm, and it has come back to get them. And so I don't put it against anybody who approaches me with trepidation at first, or really wants to get to know me before they engage with me. And I'm the same way with other people, because oftentimes too much is at stake to assume no harm. And oftentimes people truly are bigoted, truly are racist, and will hide behind that hide behind that and use that as a protection, a shield for them. And so that's where that statement was coming from in that segment.
I love it. Wow.
I mean, well, hold on. Did anybody notice how Debbie got a little bit louder at the end of that?
Yeah. Can you tell I feel some kind of way about it?
Convicted. She's truly convicted on that. I love it. That was powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Sam?
Yeah, I think collectively we're more paranoid, we're more cautious. We don't want to go to therapy. We don't want to talk about our problems. Because there's a history of trauma there. There's a history of stories that you hear growing up about things happening to your people. And you're like, I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to risk that much. So, you have to assume harm. And it's troubling that, when we talked earlier about COVID, like why are Black folk more resilient and prepared for something like COVID? It's because we've been through scarcity, we've been through struggle. So this is just like another bump in the road. It's not nothing new really. So I think the danger is walking into a room and assuming that everybody's at the same place. Mm-hmm. And everybody is and that's why I stopped saying how are you, how you doing, and started saying how is your soul, because I want people when I'm in front of you or engaging with you, I want to know how you really are feeling, not just because I'm okay, fine is always going to be the answer, But if we're about to have a business meeting, right, or we're about to have a community meeting and talk about something where we both need to be engaged and present, and you're not feeling well, you're upset, or something's on your mind bothering you, we're not going to be able to get to the meat and the nitty gritty until either we address that or we just reschedule to another time. So, you know, the ability to just say, man, I'm not, I struggle with it myself. You know, it happened to me this morning. How are you doing? Oh, I'm good. And I stopped myself and I was like, I'm not good. Like, I had to tell my friend, this is how I'm feeling about something. We have to be, it goes back to communication. We have to be open and transparent with each other. We need to be able to have the fortitude to say, I'm not okay right now. Have the fortitude to say, we need to reschedule. You know, I'm not ready to have this conversation right now. I'm not in a good place. And just be aware of your own mental space and your own emotional space. And by the same point, don't assume everybody's in the mental space you are. If you know me, you know I smile a lot. I'm always smiling, right? And it wasn't until I was like 35 years old, I used to get mad. You know, I smiled at dude at the grocery store here and smile back. And my wife was like, dude, like he might have been going through something, right? He might have had a family member just die, and here you go smiling at him, right? So you can't just assume everybody's on the same playing field that you are, or in the same space you are. And have the awareness to check in with the people around you and make sure they cool and ready to do whatever it is you ready to do.
I would like to see that assume no harm kind of ground rule turned into something that sounds like feel free to question intention.
Wow.
That's deep, Debbie.
That is deep.
Deep.
Super deep.
Yeah,
So-
I like that too.
Just so you all know, this is really touching on Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements. And the 5th agreement is what Debbie just said, which is speculate, but fact check and do your own fact checking. Like really look into it yourself. And so I hear you, Debbie. I hear you. And then Sam was touched on never assume, you know, that again, that's one of the 4 agreements. So I think that's a good nugget for somebody who maybe might be watching this. Pick up that book, Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements. It will open your eyes to a whole nother world. And you won't take things so doggone personally. You get real honest too, no assumptions, do your best, be impeccable with your words. So all these things, all these core values are musts, especially in these times that we need to be super resilient.
And I think that that's real dope, Ken. I agree with that. Changed my perspective on life, that book. But the flip side of what Debbie's saying is like, don't be afraid to question people's motivations. But also you said fact check. Like a lot of times you decided somebody's motivation for doing something and you haven't talked to them. You just imagined it in your own mind, and their motivation is 180 degrees from what you think it is, and you're acting based on what you think their motivation is, and you haven't even clarified that with them. So I think the fact check piece is important too. And if you're open to challenging somebody's motivations, you got to be open to challenging your own preconceived notion about their motivations. Be willing to be open to change that when you get new information. And just going back to my earlier thing, man, like people do not, you know, I'm so sick in our community of hearing people say, you know, I don't mess with him, I don't mess with her, I don't like them. And when you dig deeper, it turns into, well, they did such and such because they were trying to do such and such. And you're like, well, how do you know what they were trying? Did you ever talk to them about it? Well, no, I know what they were trying to do. No, you don't. If you haven't talked to that person, you don't, you know, you're not in their head. So, you know, we have to be cautious because we've been burned, right? And we don't want to just put ourselves out there and be burned over and over. But at the same time, you can't let that block opportunities for you or block opportunities for our community.
Mm-hmm. What's that term? What do they say? Trust but verify?
Trust and verify.
And discernment is huge. I feel like, you know, you gotta go with your gut though, and be aligned with yourself to make those decisions. Discernment is a real thing. And no, everybody may not be out to get you, but you do have free will of choice in who you bring in your circle. and on that journey. Some of those people may not even be like-minded. It might just sound good, but is their passion aligned up with where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do? And I think that's something that we need to talk about. You know what I mean? Just because you know them does not mean that they have to, sit on your board or, do what you need to do as far as ensuring that your vision and mission to your community and whatever that commitment is. And it's not to say that they're your foe, not at all. It's just maybe they're not in the cards for you to make your dreams come alive, so to speak. And so it has nothing to do, I feel, with like or dislike. It's just that maybe they're just it's not a cohesive type situation.
Yeah, I think it's about not letting everyone in your circle, but being cordial with everyone.
Absolutely.
Because it's a bigger circle, right? That's your personal space. I'm very much about my personal space in my small circle, but I let people outside of my circle as well. So it's about having conversations, guys.
Yeah, it is about conversation.
Life is short. Tucson is small. So be nice. Smile through that stinking mask.
Yeah, and I also think it starts with us. It starts with, if you can question your own intentions and your own motivations and know where you're coming from, then you model that, right? And then if you show up as who you say you are every single time, with what's Kendall just laid out the 4 agreements, and part of that is showing up as who you say, be who you say you are, then that's how that trust gets built. That's how you can get to a space where you can assume no harm.
Yeah, stay true to you. It's mandatory. And don't let other people dim your light.
Yes.
Because other people could dim your light just by their presence, right? Because they're not necessarily for you. It's not a conspiracy, but let's just be real. People's energy speaks, and it speaks very loudly. And so, just be true to you. And as long as you're true to you and you're aligned properly, then I really feel like you can't fail, right? You'll learn some valuable lessons along the way, of course, because that's all part of our journey. But I feel like that's a better opportunity to be successful. I can't please everybody, nor am I trying to. I can't be everywhere for everybody. I can't be at every event. I have to be true to me. I could definitely spread my wings and support in my own way. But, sometimes we just try to be doing too much, and it could be exhausting to please people. And, I'm just not about trying to please. I just can't. I love you. I got love for you. I'm celebrating you, but I cannot please everybody.
Yeah. That's a tough lesson to learn. I learned that. That's a tough lesson to learn, that you can't be everywhere and represent everything. And thank you for that, Desiree.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Because I think that's something that we don't discuss, and people get mad if you don't show up. It has nothing to do with not supporting necessarily, but you got your own mind space, your own family, and other obligations that you need to, necessarily take on. Maybe you set your calendar for another commitment, and whoever came first on the calendar, you got to stay there. You know what I mean? So sometimes we just make it super personal. And again, much love to my community, definitely my Black community, but I just can't be everything to everybody and be unapologetic about it.
Yes. And I think that's what it is, being unapologetic about it. Like, I am who I am. I do what I do, accept that, and I'll show up when I can. I think we all support each other so well. And in that process, I think that if we open up our arms, then we can help other people to support and continue the conversation. I want to celebrate wins. COVID has been hard, y'all. It's been real. And it's some shit. It's been real. So let's celebrate some wins that we have had during this pandemic. And I want to close on our pledge that we're going to take. So let's go around and celebrate some wins, and then we'll do the pledge. So who wants to start first?
I just want to share that a member of the Buffalo Soldiers, 9th and 10th Cavalry. So the Buffalo Soldiers of Southern Arizona have been working on this memorial for 2 years, the Buffalo Soldiers Memorial. Broke ground last month. It's going to be opening in April of next year at the Quincy Douglas Center. So it's going to be really a tribute to all of the Black soldiers that served in Southern Arizona, out of Fort Huachuca, in the Southwest and the West generally. So there's going to be some brothers, the brothers and sisters you might not know about that are going to be part of that memorial. It's going to be something that's going to be there for 100 years or longer. And I think it's going to be one of those places where you Black people of color, you come to Tucson, that's like a must-see spot. So I just want to shout out to the Buffalo Soldiers, even during this pandemic, for getting that win and making that memorial a reality. It's pretty dope.
And I want to give my win. I'm sorry, did I cut somebody off?
I want you to go last, Desiree, because I cannot wait.
I wasn't even going to share my win. I was going to share somebody else's.
Okay, share somebody else's. Let's go.
Yeah, so I just want to celebrate my Queen MJ Nails Academy for being the first African-American nail school in Arizona and maybe even surrounding states. She's almost ending her first semester. I think it'll be at the beginning of December. They are now taking on clients starting at 1 o'clock. So if you can please, schedule an appointment. It's a nice way to even gift someone. They do amazing work. But we definitely want to celebrate Miranda Richardson and her accomplishments and daring not to be scared to develop such opportunity in our community such as a nail school, because there hasn't been one. And so fear can cripple us, and she did not allow fear to cripple her to be historical.
Where is
Miranda Richardson, y'all? Like, that's one of the dopest nail techs in the whole world. Like, no joke, she lives in Tucson.
Where is it located?
Oh, I'm sorry. The address is on
it's by 29th and Alvernon by Hush.
There you go. There you go. And you can't miss it. It's in a plaza, and it has a big, beautiful, glamorous sign that says MJ Nails Academy. And when you go in, when I say you just feel glamorous, it's definitely not the clinical way that you would think of a hair or a nail school. Nothing of that. You just really feel good. The surroundings are beautiful. And so her students, they learn it from her. So they're mini hers. And if she has been voted the best nail tech, so imagine what her students are going to be like. So I even allow her students to do my nails and, my pedicures, my paraffin wax, which is simply amazing. So we definitely want to honor her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Debbie?
I wanted to say that I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, the Dunbar will be undergoing a major facelift of our auditorium. No more heavy, dark, velvet curtains that haven't been taken down since they were put up in 1948. So in the spring, there will be a beautiful new patio, well-landscaped patio by a Black-owned landscaper. So that we are just so excited that when people walk into that space, that rental space, that the floors refurbished, restored back to their glory of terrazzo tile. So we're just really excited about that, and that it will reflect our souls, like Sam says.
Oh no, Debbie, you froze.
Dunbar and space will.
We know what you meant.
You froze on
okay. Did I freeze?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Dunbar is going to be awesome. Next.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sam, your win, or Kendall, your win. And if you guys have questions, please start dropping them in the chat so we can grab them.
Here, Sam, I'll go real quick. I'll make mine short. One second, right here. So right there, we got our 2-year anniversary. So we're kind of hopefully made it through the storm. We're looking to possibly open another location, but that'll be in the works. But right now, this is just a huge feat. And just so y'all know, Anthony's over there. He couldn't make it on the Zoom, but he wanted to say hello. He said he promised he'd make the next one for you. So
Hey,
for having us.
Perfect.
I love it. Congratulations. Congratulations, brother.
Yes. Sam.
Wildcat Auto Glass, www.wildcatautoglass.com. Find us on Facebook. We do tint, we do windshields. Everybody gets a crack. Hit us up. So we're in our 6th year. So people like, can you make it past 5 years? So we're in year 6. We're doing great even through the pandemic. So shout out to my co-owner, my cousin Paul Brown. Big shout out. Love you, boy. We just had a dream as kids. We're like, one day we're gonna own a business together. And we made it happen. So Wildcat Auto Glass is doing well. Again, shout out to Hush and the whole team. It's been so much work, making that dream come true. So that we have a place in Tucson that's ours. And I'm in some other things, but I'm not gonna call them W's yet. Shout out to the Urban League. For the last 6-7 years, I've been hearing about people, the Urban League moving into Dunbar, and the Urban League is now officially moved into the Dunbar. So that's a huge win, I think, for 2020. Shout out for just keeping the Urban League alive. It was and shout out to everybody who built the Urban League up. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and we're just trying to keep the work going that all of y'all started, man. So we honor you. We love you for what you built. We had some rough times there, but we're trying to turn it around. So shout out to just my board members on the Urban League, because it's been a real heavy lift this year. And that's a win for me, that we are still standing. We're still representing everything that's been built and looking towards the future. It's a huge win for us and for our community. So shout out to that team.
Awesome.
Especially.
It's awesome. Bringing it back alive. Yes. And so.
And shout out my sister, because my sister is closing on her first house.
Yay!
Yes.
Homeowners,
awesome.
y'all. Homeowners.
Yes.
Nice. Wow. No, we're not gonna let you go. Miss Desiree, I met you.
Yes, my queen.
I swear it's been like forever, but I met you in like January, February. It was before COVID, and you had a fundraiser, and I bought some earrings from Sigfist, and we got to talking, and you told me about what you were doing. And you were building, like you had this thing going and you were building. And it's been 8 months of COVID. So in the last 8 months, everyone has shouted you out. Have been groundbreaking on the homes. And this week you made me cry. So please share with us your wins.
Yes. So truly humbled and grateful for this opportunity. I had received an email from a producer company in New York, and said they wanted to do a documentary. I was super excited about the documentary, just to create awareness. I think open dialogue about the crisis with our most vulnerable youth is vital and very important. And so with that being said, I'm going to be, super transparent. They were all gung-ho and asked me to send them pictures and things like that. And I was just so happy. And then all of a sudden I didn't hear anything. And I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go. Got drop kicked, So we maybe weren't good enough, so to speak, or qualified enough, for them to do a documentary. And so fast forwarding it to last week, we had shot part of the story with TBD and a lot of our youth that visit our office 3 days a week. Super proud of them because they were vocal and they had the ability to unmute themselves even in front of camera. So I was just, in a good place. And they were like, we need to come back the following Friday to take some still shots. So cool. And then they were like, we need to ask you a few more questions, but they wanted me outside. And you know how I do outside. And, thank God it was a nice day, because I would have melted out there and my brain would have froze up because I can't think when I'm hot. And so with that being said, I'm standing there talking to one of the producers, and all of a sudden she was like, I want to introduce you to our show, our host. And it was like Mike Rowe. I'm like, okay, well, who is Mike Rowe? And it didn't dawn on me that he was the one from the Dirty Jobs that now has a new show called Returning the Favors. And so I was super honored just to be engaged and, talking to him. Next thing I know, I hear all these sirens and a whole bunch of things going on. And they literally escorted us a van, 2017 Dodge van, Ram, wrapped in our logo, which I was super proud of that because our logo is super ethnic and representation of who I am. And that being said, we are now able to start our Hygiene by Mobile initiative and go to places such as the Tohoto O'odham Reservation and the different reservations that are really experiencing third world country experiences and having lack of, but then also delivering to a lot of those nanas who can't get out, but taking care of their great grandchildren and being able to deliver hygiene at their doorstep in style. So that would allow us, our business or our nonprofit to grow, serve more people. But I also will say that open doors on a national level and where the very people that I was trying to get, gain their attention here locally, now all of a sudden, because of that national attention, we all of a sudden are so worthy. But I'm so grateful to work with those people. Sometimes it takes other people to put some shine on you to be respected. And just received the email from Amazon saying that they're willing to donate to us in a semi-truck load. So I'm very, very humbled. And so don't let anybody dim your light again. 6 years has been a long grind and just trying to solidify our work. And when you stay intentional, things are birthed. And so I was just really grateful and humbled. And they were tricking me for 5 months, telling me it was a documentary and the whole time it was a show. So that's all I want to say.
Congratulations.
Thank
You deserve
you.
it. You deserve it. One more question, and then we're going to get to the pledge, because you opened the door for something we were talking about behind the scenes. And it was, why is it that somebody from outside of Tucson has to be the one to shine a light on your business and really recognize what you're doing? And we're not getting that here in Tucson. And I know there was like a huge conversation, so I'm just going to open up the floor and let you guys do what you do.
So I think a lot of it starts with lack of being open-minded and the ability to invest in something that they cannot see, right? And it's like, well, and then let's go back to being African-American, not wanting to invest because there's question marks of, I can't trust it. There must be a ulterior motive and things of that nature. And so I realized, being truthful, that the small home experience in the past was not built because I was an African-American woman, I'm convinced. But if I was non-melanin, those houses would have been built for our most vulnerable youth to have a life skill development and home ownership opportunities.
Yeah, and I like what you had to say, Desiree. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And sometimes I appreciate that sentiment, but sometimes if you see it in your head, you have to be it. You can't wait until somebody is it to say you have to be the one to be it. Because you saw it in your head. And I think a lot of times we don't locally, we default to that, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So, I don't see it in Tucson. So I'm not going to recognize it. It's here, it really is here. It's just not, it might not be wrapped in the package that you want it to be wrapped in. It might not be, said in the way that you wanted it to be said, but it's here. And a lot of times other people outside can recognize that. And I love what you just said about being open-minded. Just crack that little veneer a little bit and let some light in, so that we can celebrate one another. And I'm gonna turn my video off for a second so I can turn some light on in this house. Getting dark. But that's what it is. I think the outside sometimes it does take people. We can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. And we're surrounded by all these trees. And then there's someone on the outside forest that says, oh, look at those beautiful plants. You know, look at those beautiful trees down there. And we're going to celebrate that. And then all the other trees in the forest go, oh yeah, that's a beautiful tree standing there next to me. I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you do need the stamp of approval for other people to validate the work that you've been doing all along. We've been doing this work all along. And, I am grateful that they actually saw us on the news and, because they definitely follow people on a national level that are doing amazing things. And I feel like that helped validate us. And the people that we were trying to get their attention prior to this opportunity now are saying, hey, we like to meet, we like to talk. But I've been sending you emails and phone calls, and none of those emails were responded to. But now all of a sudden, so, thank you, Mike Rowe, for validating our work and showing that what we're doing is really true, and doing a background check on me. Hey, my heart is in the right place. And that's why I'm doing this for 6 years and not getting paid. So, my passion is real. And so, it's just amazing how that is, but I'm beyond grateful.
Yeah.
I like what Debbie said, because I think what you introducing, Debbie, is like you listening right now can be that person that co-signs and validates the person next to you that has a dream. And when like Miranda Richardson 3 years ago was telling me her idea about a nail school, right? Des, like,
yeah,
she's been had this idea, and she would sit and tell you about it, and she would take her phone out, and this is how I want the room to look. Like, she had it all. She saw it all in her head. And if you were a doubter, you like, yeah, okay, whatever. But if you coming from love, you like, hey, how can I help you? How can I get on with you? How can I co-sign you so I can see that with you? So we don't, just recognize we don't need. And Des, like with the small home experience, Des was like, this is gonna happen, Sam. Like, you want to help, that's cool, but it's gonna happen without you too, But like, so when you see that, like, be a part of it. Don't, you can be just as important to that project or that dream as, some outside national person co-signing it.
Yeah, and I do want to give you a shout out, Sam, because you believed in it since day one. You're like, cool, let's do it. And so I appreciate you. And, our journey is just beginning on that, like I had told you the other day. So, this actually has been a segue to now ensure that those homes get built sooner than later. So yes, you get some of these kids from couch surfing and on the street now into sustainable living. And as you say, sew them back into the fabric of our community. So thank you, Mike Rowe, for allowing that to happen, right?
Thank you, Mike
Right. And I also love what you had to say, Desiree, about, and Sam, like, even if you don't, keeping that attitude that it's going to happen regardless. You can jump on board or not, but it's going to happen regardless. And keeping that attitude and keeping that tenacity to do that, because folks can't help but ignore you then. And then they'll say, oh, I believed in it all along. Well, no. But you know what? When they show up to the grand opening, they'll get a cup of punch too.
Right. Hello.
Everyone gets
Hello. That is so true. Oh, that's so true.
Well, but it is an interesting phenomena that sometimes that more often that folks recognize from the outside can recognize the talents and treasures in our community before we recognize them for one another. And I hope we really can change that for one another. And I also hope that's part of our downtime in COVID, that we learn to recognize and appreciate and support one another. And so when this is all lifted and said and done, that those relationships are so solid and so genuine and so real, and not based in, some superficial like or not like on, a thumb up or thumb down on a social media platform, but really based in a deep knowledge and respect of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful. I don't want to let y'all go, but I do have some questions. What are the needs of the people directly in your circle? Affirmations, physical needs, promotion needs. Anybody jump in and take that?
I think Sam hit on it earlier. I think we just gotta give each other some shout outs, some accolades. For example, like the next people I would like to see on this call, Brock the barber, some other local entrepreneurs of themselves too come on here. So I think we just kind of need to pass the torch. That's just my 2 cents.
I agree.
I definitely agree. Just
Mm-hmm.
shout out, love one another, love up on each other, love up
Mm-hmm.
on each other.
Yes.
You know, like, and, or, you know, when you see somebody out there on their hustle, acknowledge it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to have the ability to speak life to other people. If you know, you have to learn how to speak life to yourself before you can speak life to other people. But the ability to celebrate other people and encouragement can get you through, you know, to move on to the next day. And so we have to be natural celebrators of our people. And I'm telling you, that can go such a long way, and they'll remember that for life, because that might have been the very day that they were ready to give up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't even know how to come after that. I think that you, with your words, with your smile, with everything, you can change somebody's life. You can change their day. I think people don't think of that. Like, it's that one thing that you do that can either lift or put them farther down, and it can change everything. So changing how we are speaking, like I said, smile through your mask. Like, it's okay. Nobody can see it, but they can feel it. I mean,
But your eyes tell the story.
right.
Smile
And be
through the
kind. And COVID has made a lot of people a-holes. And FYI, you'll still be that person after COVID. So, like, don't be that person now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful, man. I think it just comes back to being human, and let's get past these titles and these labels. I hate when someone's like introduces me, because I don't even introduce myself as a lawyer. This is Sam Brown, the attorney. Like, no, I'm just a dude. I happen to practice law, but like, I'm a dude. And so I got the feelings and the emotions, and I go up and down like everybody else. Everybody does. So like, we're all, just remember that we're humans, man. I was having a kind of little argument with somebody who was upset that I was late for a meeting this week. And I was like, I was late for this meeting because at the end of last meeting, there was somebody in that meeting that was having a problem in the meeting. And I stayed afterward to talk to that person because I could tell they were, upset and really struggling. To me, I was like, talking to that person and being there for that person for those 5 minutes was worth being 5 minutes late to your meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So like, just remember, like, we're on these clocks and we're in these boxes and we have these duties and titles, but like, we're human beings first. That comes before everything else.
Yeah, it's adding human back into humanity.
Yes.
I was just about to say that. Thank you, Desiree. Humanity.
You're welcome. You're welcome, brother.
She got some quotables tonight.
Right? Come through, Desiree.
That's right, Desiree.
There are a ton of questions, and I'm not going to get to all of them, but I do want to touch on this last one. How we need to come to, it says, we're talking about how we need to come to each other with love. What are the things that don't look like love?
Oh, wow.
Uninformed judgment.
Yeah.
Uninformed judgment.
Uninformed judgment.
That's powerful.
That is powerful. Whoever said that first, yes, and
Sam said it.
And uninformed judgment does not look like love. Jumping to conclusions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not standing up when someone's talking smack about another person and not having the courage to stand up for that other person.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah. My last question is that last town hall, we took a pledge to come together and what we can do better in the community. And out of that came CIC. It also came with a couple of us connecting with Sam to be a part of the Urban League. So I want us all to take a pledge of what we can do different as a group and pledge to do that with each other, as well as what we can do different in our community to help people in our community.
Keneshia, did I hear you say TIC, the Tucson Indian Center?
CIC, CIC, the Community Investment Corporation. Anybody want to
what
start?
are you asking of us again?
To take a pledge to yourself, the group, and the community of what you can do better, how you can step up and make a difference.
I pledge for on behalf of the Dunbar and by extension on behalf of myself to be more open and transparent and inclusive to what we're trying to do at the Dunbar, and not to be more transparent and not operate from a position of being the representative of Black people in Tucson, the arrogance of what that really looks like and sounds like, because we're not.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good, Queen.
Thank you. I've just seen how much damage it's done in our community, that people have that perception of us, and sometimes we have lived up to that perception. And so I take responsibility for how we've shown up that way on behalf of the Dunbar, and knowing that we need to turn course in that. And so I take the pledge to as long as I remain in leadership there, to keep feeding that as part of the culture of Dunbar.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who wants to go next?
I pledge to never forget the little guy. I think that when we're doing community work, it's easy to think about people with money because those are donors, or to think about the people in the middle because those are the people that are showing up and active and engaged. But a lot of times we forget, there's single moms out there in apartments with 3 kids on Section 8 and nobody's reaching out to her. And there's a 19-year-old boy, who's still in high school and he's struggling as he ain't got his dad's in jail and his mom's living somewhere and he's sleeping on a couch, like Desiree said. Nobody's reaching out to him. And we have to work harder to get to people who aren't engaged, to get them engaged, right? We can't just always say, well, we're offering X, Y, and Z, and you need to come to us and you need to find us. So I pledge to work harder to try to get to those who need us the most, who aren't visible.
And then I also pledge, everybody should have a mentor in their life. Somebody else that you could look up to that could redirect you and guide you. So I'm allowing myself to be more open, to be a mentor for others. I've had people that have come to me that want to start a nonprofit. How do you do it? And make myself more available and committed at least to 2 to 3 young people that want to make a difference and impact our community.
Yay, Miss Desiree. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes.
Look, can you tell me? I need you to start at Tucson and at the Urban League. Like, I need you on both parts of that to make sure we have you.
Okay.
Kendall,
all right.
your turn.
Listen, you know how I do. I be trying to have to spread myself, as much as I can.
I know.
But yes, I'm definitely a willing participant. Yes.
Yay. Okay, Kendall, your turn.
Y'all pretty much said it. I'm just gonna follow up with I'm a pledge to not work so much from my head and work from the heart.
Yeah. That's a good
Right.
one.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
That's a good one. Oh, I am going to pledge to continue to do community work. I had a big aha moment this week and realized that I do a lot of stuff because I want to help and be a part, but it's really going to be very heart-centered, and make sure that I'm going deeper in that to fulfill myself and make sure that I'm helping my community, especially, you know, I want to do everything I can here in Tucson. And I think in doing that, I need to make sure I'm reaching out to people in the community to help out any way I can. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. We will do these quarterly, guys. We're going to make sure that we bring in faces, new faces, old faces, family, everybody quarterly.
All the faces.
So, all the faces. We're going to do all the things and bring in all the faces.
Shout out to Keneshia for putting this together.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. Thank
Really,
you so much, Queen. For real. You truly
you.
honor your crown and the work that you do.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I want to thank you guys. Like, I don't think you guys understand how much it means to me for you guys to be here, to really share what's going on and to have honest discussions. Sam, we're not even gonna go there. Thank you, Sam, because
Thank
Sam
you for
has
all the things.
has opened up doors and brought me in and really has me doing work that I love, and I'm able to help the community. Who brought me to Debbie, and then I've known Desiree forever. Like, we like old family.
Yeah.
Kendall, thank you for being here. Guys, thank you guys for joining us. This town hall is so important because we have to continue to do the work in our community. We are pledging to do the work as a group, and we want to make sure that people in the community are reaching out and do the work. So support your Black businesses. Even though that election has changed a lot of things, we don't know what's to come in 2021. And businesses are only going to be here if we continue to support them. Take a moment, have a conversation with somebody in your community, smile, because that can change the world for some people. And thank you again. And we will see you next time for another Black Business Town Hall. Bye, guys.
Well done.
Bye. Thank you.